This is your daily market recap for Monday, April 17th, 2023. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for Monday, April 17th, 2023. Interesting day, down most of the day market, rallies back, leaders lagging leaders, all sorts of things going on. Let's unpack it. So, if you're new to the channel, please check out the Discord room, link in the description below. Let's get into it. We are in OPEX. Typically, OPEX is meant to kill, in my opinion, the VIX. It's going to be choppy, sloppy, going to be, best way to describe it is almost unpredictable. Minute to minute, hour to hour, things are going to be choppy as they try to kill what? Volatility, try to kill options buyers as you go into a major OPEX, right? Well, this is the Monday of it. If you watch the previous videos on such, we talk about what? OPEX is usually up one part of the week, down part of the week. Well, it seemed like down was going to be the way of the week at this point, but hey, we're going into earnings, the reactions. It's tricky, very tricky. Empire State Manufacturing came out. It was expected to be minus 19, which is major contraction, to plus 10, which again, I tried to parse through the data. I still don't know how they got to that point. But reserves for credit loss on the banks, NHB, the housing stuff came in weak or getting worse. After hours, JB Hunt, as we've talked about per mile, the trucking industry is showing a major slowdown. Now people say only revenue is down 7% year over year. Well, keep in mind last year versus this year. We were in a recession last year too around this point. So it's interesting to see. Or going into a recession, they kind of averted the big one, but are we going to go into one? Well, it's gonna get interesting. So, on that note, as of right now, it's kind of in between. I'm getting a lot of people who are really frustrated with the chop. Which again, I mean, if I talked about the IWM previously, for all of 2021, it went in a trading range nowhere. Markets do that, right? So at this point, just manage your risk, define it. And be thoughtful. Give yourself time. If you got options, don't expect much. And now with the VIX at 17, 1695 close, you can be patient with puts. That's for damn sure. So on that note, let's get into it. If you're following, here you go. Here's the dollar per mile spot rate adjusted for inflation. Again, it's trucking services. Again, we talked about a lot of things slowing down. Now, does that necessarily mean what's going on? That the market's going to tank? I mean, it's just, again, to me, it's just a matter of if, not when, right? When's the last time a market bottomed with a VIX of 38, especially a bear market? It's not going to be easy, y'all. It is not going to be easy. Because, again, I got people debating with me that there's endless QE coming, which, again, there's QE in Europe, which they're at near new highs. China's doing it. Again, I think the U.S. is going to do something different, though. I think the U.S. is going to try to reestablish dollar supremacy, get people to buy our bonds by doing what? Not doing what everyone else is doing. I know that sounds kind of contrarian, but that's my thought on this, because I think that's literally makes the most sense, especially if you want to maintain dollar dominance while everyone else starts, destroying their currency by doing QE. We'll see if I'm right on this. But again, I mean, it's hard to really predict that anyone knows anything for sure what the Feds are going to do, but we'll get into the Fed fund futures here shortly, but just based on the weekly charts, there's a reason why the US market is lagging some of these other markets, right? We'll see if it continues. Again, follow on Twitter, following what we're posting. Again, chat, love, hit me up if you got any question. There you go, manufacturing contracting. 80-year data suggests this is bad for stocks. Yes, we've talked about contraction in the manufacturing. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, right? Consumer credit increasing, jobs, clearly jobs, layoffs are increasing. Automation is going to be hurting that. I mean, we've got some very interesting long-term dynamics to navigate through. So, again, if you're newer to the channel, please like, subscribe, notification bell. Here you go. Back to basics. Options expiration, aka ChopX. What is it? Also have it on my website, www.tradingagent.com. If you want, also subscribe for the newsletter. Posting, as we've talked, back to basic education series. I've broken it down from more beginner stuff to advanced as you go through. A little bit of quotes on some things. Hit me up if you have any questions. So I usually like to start with the Fed tool watch. Hit refresh because, again, it literally updates it feels like every minute. 86% chance of a Fed hike on May 3rd. Now you got June. This is starting to creep up. This is starting to creep up. It was always, at one point, it was almost like a lock to pause, but this is starting to creep up. Keep that in mind. You don't really see a Fed pivot until potentially September. And then right now it's almost, exactly the odds. So just keep an eye on it. All right, let's talk again. Let's dig into the charts and let's let the evidence speak. Bitcoin, bullish or bearish for the market? Tough to know, but it has been a leader up. We talked about needs to get over this 30,000 level. The rubber band man, if you're familiar with that process, the more you run, the more tired you get. So you get pulled back. You get more choppy and sloppy when you're at inflection points. So you get tired, right? You can't just keep running endlessly higher. Goes boom, and it's getting very tired up here. Couldn't break out. Now it's back in the 29,000 range. That doesn't look bullish. That's just all I'm saying for that point. Oil. Watched it all day. Up, 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 and then came back down. We're into support resistance zone here in the mid 80s. Talked about it bouncing down here. Congratulations if you traded that. Talked about watching the XOP, which did not really look that good today. Oil going higher. Is that bullish? Oil going lower? Bullish. That's tough to know, but I know for a fact OPEC does not cut 1.5 billion barrels if they expect the economy to be growing and demand to be there. So is it kind of like the Fed pivot? When the Feds pivot, the market actually drops because now the Feds are admitting, whoa, shiitake is hitting the fan. Natural gas is up decently today. A lot of people are getting excited about it. I personally have said, I think you can play it down here, but just be careful playing the UNG, and also don't give yourself, high expectations. I think it could chop around just like it has done previously at lows, right? Like I think at some point, as I've talked about, I know there's a commodity bull market coming. That's what I'm expecting. But money has to, you need to blow out the market first before it rebuilds and commodities lead. That's my opinion, sticking to it. Zadala. We've talked about it. Bottoming. We talked about it filling this gap now. Again, dollar UUP gap's not really as important. Again, I don't have the Dixie on here. Apologize. But this level matters, right? If you go look at some of the monthly, weekly trend lines, you can see why it's right here. It's just, it looks flat, but it's not. It's actually a longer term trend line. We go below it and then rip right back. Now watch the 20-day, right? 20-day, 100-day, 50-day. If we get over 28, to me, the bull, like now you would have higher highs and higher lows. Now I know people say like, oh, well, that's a downtrend. It's like, I would argue when you zoom out, monthly, potentially even now, like getting over the 20-day is very crucial for an uptrend. When it's below it, usually it goes down. Just keep an eye on it. The TLT. People are selling bonds. This is a big problem. We are at the range lows. And I've said this 1,000 times. I think the Feds are going to be smart enough to understand how to get liquidity to come into the bond market so that if they do decide to need to do a stimulus next year, which, again, the prevailing party going into an election is probably going to want to try to do something if the market or economy are weak, who's going to fund that? I don't think we're at the point where we can say we're going to QE ourselves. I think they're going to want to get rates lower so the government can eventually do something. That's my take on that because, again, that's how they seem fiscally. Again, we're not running like the QE of debasement of it forever. Again, they want to create demand in our bonds. Well, you better watch the 103 level. And now, again, will the market follow the bond market? It could. Think about like last August, right? Talked about when the market started dumping. Interest rates went much higher, and what did the market do? Followed right behind it, right? ZVIX, this is amazing to me how low they've gotten this. But again, I'm not surprised by the complacency in the confidence in bulls. I mean, remember, the market is trying to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. Well, right now you've got everybody confused. I mean, I got bears thinking down is up and up is down. Like they don't even know what direction is a direction. And the bulls are just like, everything is bullish. Everything is awesome, like the Lego song. Like that's what they're singing right now. So it's checkmate in my mind. Good job, market makers. You have successfully confused every participant beyond the point of even understanding what the hell is going on. Well, let's stay evidence-based, right? Let's look at some of the things. Look like that peaking, right? SPY rallies into the close. Okay, interesting. Down all day, but you have a doji here. You're retesting levels. Is it really making new highs? Not yet. So it's really hard to say for a fact things are bullish. Again, when you zoom out, oops, sorry, let me get the monthly. It's on a different screen. Come here. There you go. 20-month and a fib. 20-month curling down. Curling down. Are we going to break over it? It's really that simple. If we do, then is it temporary or is it start of a start of the bull market, which to me, it's crazy because, again, I've said this 1,000 times. Never in my lifetime have I seen a bear market bottom with the VIX and the 38s. I mean, you've seen multiple occasions of, volatility spiking without even a bear market. And again, bear markets have had 80 plus VIX handles. 38, it's over with. Credit contraction, the banks are fixed, everything's all good, everything is awesome. Might seem that way now, but I think it's temporary. Qs started to lag, right? We've talked about tech is going to lag so much long term. Lagadocious, right? Check the monthly again. Same thing. 20-month curling down. Goes from 23 up to 408 or whatever. People are still bullish. You guys are higher than a kite. Not until the feds do what? Start cutting and then the market capitulates. Then maybe even tech will bottom. But I've said this over and over. Just like in the 2000s, tech is going through a recalibration and money is going to flow into commodities. Again, things are cyclical. You go from overpaying for tech to tech becoming dirt cheap. You go from overpaying for commodities to commodity stocks literally trading at 1, 2, 3 PE levels. Is that going to happen with tech? In my opinion, absolutely. But tech is the future. When is tech not the future? Ask yourself that question, right? As of right now, chopping. You got some major areas. Again, like when bulls are getting excited, bears, and it's like stalemate. Think of it like we can't get over the 319. But we also can't get below the 20-day. When does that change? IWM. Again, we talk people getting confused. Like, IWM's leading. I'm like, is it leading? Because, again, the Qs and the SPY are way up here. And it's way down here. Now, again, it could play catch-up. That's the question you have to ask yourself. Could it? But you're also, let me just redraw the fibs and just kind of show people, like, we're really not that far off the bottom. So people could argue you have a lot of room up. I might argue that you don't the 0.382 is probably about as high as you're going to get. I've said watch the 179 levels for weeks, and until the ceiling is broken, the ceiling is the ceiling. But this is not leading. Like, if you thought the market was strong, take note of this. The IWM should be at 200 plus, right? Think about it. Here, I'll show you on the weekly. Like, you can see how, again, 2001, chop, market was making new highs. IWM sucked ass. It tried to rally at the end of the year. Kapow. Now look at it. Chop. In my opinion, probably going to suck ass. Oh, maybe that doesn't sound right. It's going to lag. Anyway, DIA. Holding up. Got to give it credit. At trend, at channel, at resistance. Leading. Well, again, tough to, you can argue leading, maybe. I would say it's kind of a neutral thing, right? It looks very similar to, say, I guess it peaked in December, right? Was this lower highs and lower lows? Just questions you got to ask yourself. Gold. Got a lot of flack lately for saying, please be careful. I posted today, watch the close, see if you can get under the 20-day. Closed above it. Bulls, you might be happy enough for now, but I'm telling you, watch out for these gaps and traps at the highs and the lows. Lots of gaps and traps at highs and the lows in the GLD. I personally think if the Feds are going to continue to raise rates, they're going to try to slam gold. They're going to try to do what they always do to gold, play games with it until they go QE infinity and just go liquidity forever. I've said this, and I'll say it over and over again. And again, we called the bottom down here. I've said in the monthly, it's a big cup and handle, head and shoulders bottom. I think it's going to be volatile. I don't think we're going to break out just yet. And if we do and I'm wrong, great. I can always chase it later. But again, people don't understand, like, I'm always long gold. I have physical metals. Silver, congratulations. Tries to get back up to the highs. Fills some gaps. Big reds. That looks very distributive. Keep an eye on it. GDX, we talked about the miners. Please be careful up here in the mid-30s. Hit some old Ukraine highs, right? No, that's just a gap. Not even the Ukraine highs. Backing off. Is this a professional gap? Be on red alert. Increasing volume, it could be. GDXJ. Again, I'm not bearish long-term the miners, but if I own them, I'd be taking profits into strength and rolling up my stops and saying, well, if it takes me out, it takes me out. But I would not be just going, well, gold going to the moon. I'm telling you right now, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I don't think we're at that point yet because, again, the Feds aren't cutting. They're still in the tightening cycle, hypothetically speaking, based on the Fed fund futures and what's coming. Same thing. Let's roll through the miners quick. AG, we love how they said, screw it, we're not going to produce anymore if the prices are too low. Capitulation gap, rallies back to the 100, 200 day. Watch what happens. Again, I've got a $5 level on my monthly chart that I'd be watching. AEM gets up into resistance, chopping just under it. Keep an eye on it. We've talked about Newmont lagging tremendously. The mega cap miners are dog crap. Don't buy them. Here you go. Makes a lower high compared to other ones making equal or not higher highs. GDX will follow or lead. These will follow the pair together. Pass. Again, I've seen tons of people recommending this. I'm like, watch what happens up here. Today's candle. That is not pretty. Can't really say anything else other than that. So, all right, let's get into tech. Semi gets a Susquehanna upgrade to 135 price tag. They got earnings coming up on Thursday before the open at the 100-day holding range lows. Again, if it was so bullish and tech was leading, why is this nowhere up near 100? It's 15% off the highs. We'll see. Micron today. All right, this is really wide and loose. And what do you expect? Wide and loose precedes big moves. Gaps. I think it's going to fail because, again, in the semiconductor cycle, at some point, they're doing this, and I know for a fact they're doing this. They are all making great product. They have to compete, and they're going to have to lower price. Their margins are going to squeeze because there's an oversupply of semiconductors. Bottom line. You don't agree with me? Fine. I don't care. But that's what the data suggests. We'll see how it reacts, though, right? Again, because the data always right. Because, again, if economists and people who forecast with data were always right, trading would be easy as snot, right? AMD, another one lagging. Lag. Look at this. Said watch out for the 50-day. Close enough today. And then it's under the 20-day. You got problems. NVIDIA. There's things. The pumping is pretty desperate. I was reading something about eBay. Prices were $40,000, but then you go look at recent sales. Like nobody's overpaying for their GPUs. Confirmed with a friend who recently bought some NVIDIA chips. He bought new ones versus overpaying on the used market. That goes to show you something's wrong here, right? You literally are going to pay more for older ones online used, which, again, I think people have misperceived the actual pricing. And that's what eBay does, right? If there's not a ton on there, they'll try to misprice it and get people to buy shit. Well, it's curious to see how this plays out because under the 20-day, 20 days key, clear as mud, right? Got to get over it. Intel, we talked about this one hitting trend and failing. All right, chopping around. Keep an eye. SMH just cannot stay under 250, but lower lows. Keep an eye on it, right? You would think tech looks great. Not so much. Adobe was down all day. Didn't do much. Held the 20-day. Keep an eye on it. Apple, up, down, flop. A $1.50 range. That's nothing. Tight action. Again, I suspect that it will get hit at some point. You're at channel highs, double topping. Now, people are like, oh, it's a breakout. I'm like, let's see if we get follow through. Okay? Watch the 20-day. Amazon, down, up, all over the place. Again, stuck in the range. Stuck in the range with you kind of thing. Nothing. Doji. CRM held up better today than most. But we've talked about the 200 level. You can see it on the monthly. 200 week, at the 200 level. Okay, holding the 20-day. Doesn't look terrible. Guggenheim, we've talked about AI forever. Like, telling you, it's a feature. It's not a paid add-on over time. Every one of these companies is going to have AI. It's going to be free, essentially. If you want higher levels of AI, I guess you'll have to pay for it. But at this point, watch the 20-day. Again, Google, Microsoft are in this never any battle. Meta gets, TikTok gets banned in good old Montana. Love Montana. Great state. Anyway, overpriced. Again, it's kind of like NVIDIA. It doesn't make sense. Just kept rising, but where does it stop? Nobody knows. Maybe it's the 220s, but as I've said 1,000 times, Instagram is dead. They stopped paying content producers. People are leaving the platform. But, hey, you know what? Sometimes the stocks don't do what you think they should do when you think they should. Microsoft bounces. Pops here, right? Pop. So, and now what? Getting tired here. Watch the 290s, right? NDAQ, I guess they're going to try to create crypto on their exchange. Again, we've talked about the NDAQ exchange is dead because tech is never going to trade like it used to. The momentum is dead. But not surprised. It's a little dead cat bounce. It goes from 69 down to 51. Okay. Maybe it's the 50-day. Maybe it's the 100, 200-day cross. Maybe it's the old trend line coming into earnings. I don't know. Keep an eye on it. MicroStrategy. Is Bitcoin going higher? Is it going lower? We talked about the 300s plus, 330 was it? Something like that. Yeah. I mean, you got in the box. People are like, oh, what's the exact price it's going to top? Like, I don't know. And honestly, I don't know, and I don't really care that much. I'm not trading it, but people who ask, I'm like, just keep an eye on it. Well, today, that gap, you got to be slightly nervous, because this could be considered island floating reversal. Just throwing it out there. Netflix lagged all day. Lagadocious all day. Talked about this range up here. Watch the 50, 100-day cross. Simplistic. Roblox, they're going to stop giving monthly guidance during OPEX. Seems to never work out. Gaps down. I mean, I'd look through their numbers. I'm like, kind of flat. But the market penalized it. Why? No clue. Tesla was down, up, up, down, left, right. Again, lagging. Materials have been lagging. We talked about that. X should be like up here in the 29s. Not so much, but you do have reference points. Nucor, lagging, but coming in earnings, who knows? 20-day, keep an eye on it. Caterpillar, meow. What? Meow. Chopping over the 20-day, but lagging, right? Like you would think Caterpillar would be up here at the 250s. Not so much. Just, again, keep an eye on it. VALE, dollar going up. Brazil stocks going down. Not surprised. 100-day flopper. Arrow, interesting day on this thing. I'm watching this. I mean, the volume is pretty wild up here, and you're getting very chopadocious. Could it break out? Whew. Tough to know. It looks like it's topping, though, right? Like, that's the top. Here's a trap. Keep an eye on it, right? Just keep an eye. CCJ, people talked about buying it. I'm like, nah, it's probably due for a bounce. It's a 50-day. Again, I don't trust any of these names. CF, I love these names long-term, but I can't. I talked about, watch what happens when it hits the 50-day in this range low. I don't think it's going anywhere. Mosaic, holding up. Got an upgrade on Friday, comes right back. I guess good Thursday, comes right back. NTR, was it Good Friday? Man, what week are we on? Holding up, finally over the 20-day. All these names, I mean, they just, I don't know. They're just tough. Will they get the momentum? I don't know. AA, talked about this should be up in the near 50, lagging. It's like Bueller, not doing so good, right? Got to admit it. XLF, I am impressed that it rallied back today with some of the bank stuff today. Man, trying to fill the gap, hit some fibs, keep an eye on it, right? And set your stops if you're wrong. I'm personally starting to look at JP Morgan for a short. I think it makes total sense. Gap trap, Doji. Can it get back to 143? I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to look at anything over 140 because it also is the 100-week. Where's the monthly again? You can see, anything around here just makes sense to me. Again, I don't think they're going to be able to get away with paying people 0.1%. Money is going to start leaving them and flying all over the place. Morgan Stanley, again, I think they have, earnings after the close tomorrow? No, is it Wednesday? Wednesday before they open. Goldman's tomorrow morning. Keep an eye on it. Fluffy. Very fluffy nutter. Watch the 90 area. Goldman Sachs. 200-day. Filling a gap. Keep an eye on it. I mean, 340s seem logical. Good old XBI. A lot of people getting like, oh, but here's new leadership. I mean, or is it just oversold bounces? I know people say, look at the volume. I can't argue that. Going into a budget stuff, watch the VAP zone here at 82. Again, I don't really like shorting things near the lows. I'd rather wait from the bounce. Starting to make a little more sense. Solar. A lot of people are like, oh, you idiot. And it's like, well, I guess Germany's going to shut down their nukes, and then Japan wants to offer solar win for everyone. Okay, great. Buy the rumor, sell the news maybe. Again, getting back into the chop zone, tough to know. ENPH, been a laggard. Doji sandwich, now what? Now again, would not have shorted at the lows this thing, but now up in the 229, maybe the 100. Will it get to the 100-day? Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. You got some references. Sedgerton, all these names look very simple except for solar. Gets up. All right, it's in the wash zone, chop zone. First solar, a lot of people got mad at this again. I mean, if you took your profits, you got stopped out, did they job? Posted, hey, watch the 220 plus area. A lot of people going nuts, like, oh, you idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna show this again because most people probably don't watch this, but I do remember $100 down months for solar. Again, if oil collapses, commodities collapse, the market starts crumbling. For solar, all the solar stuff has the ability to get absolutely Bam. Destroyed. HYG. Talked about corporate debt lagging. Is this distributive at the highs? Corporate debt, usually a good sign of economic growth. Lagging. Oil. Multi-day range. Below it. Keep an eye on it. UNG now up 44 cents. Congratulations if you are trading. I guess it's over the 20-day. Again, I hate the decay on this thing. I will come back to natural gas at some other point. XOP said, watch the mid-130s. Oops, sorry. Let me zoom out. Here it is. You take out the range lows. Keep an eye on it. 50-day has to hold. Has to hold. Keep an eye on it. ExxonMobil, right? Gets up back towards the monthly range highs. Shopping. You need to hold 114. I mean, I guess you could say 113, but it looks like it's going to roll. Remember, PXD. Exxon is usually bad about buying companies at the highs in cyclical peak oil cycles. Now, again, cyclical could be months, maybe a year. I don't know. But if they're buying PXD, Exxon tends to do this. So, all right, we'll keep an eye on it. Congrats if you bought the dip on PXD. Oxy. Again, another name that I would think would be up. Chopping. Buffett probably loves it because he just buy more. Sorry, EQT. Chopping. Pop. Ooh, that's not really that great. I would not be happy about that. 100-day and flop. End it with Flex LNG. Again, I like this name a lot long term at some point. Congress is buying the crap out of it. Notice in a bear market, this thing has just been chopping. Let them throw the baby out with the bathwater. We'll take a ride with it. All right. Got any questions? Please reach out. Always here to help. Appreciate the love, support, all the generous donations. Again, sign up for the newsletter if you have a chance. Again, I'm not going to send out things daily. Maybe like every week or every other week, kind of some things that I'm thinking about. Again, we're here to help. If you believe the markets are all about certainty and you're trying to figure out how to always win, people don't realize it's the best losers paired with how to win that do well. Because again, you, me, everybody out there is trying to do the best we can. We believe in our brains that we can't lose. Well, the reality is we can always potentially lose. There's no certainty. No one is omnipotent. No one knows for sure anything. All you can do is be evidence-based and try to go with the evidence. And when you're wrong, disassociate from it and take your losses. So I hope this helps. A lot of people again, I'm sensing a lot of emotions out there, and usually see a lot of emotion and inflection points. And that's why I appreciate all the comments, even the negative ones, just people going nuts and talking junk and getting all like fired up. I mean, even those, they give you evidence again, because I'm trying to, again, we know the market's meant to take the most amount of money from the most amount of people. Guess what? At inflection points, sentiment does what? Gets a little loopy, right? All right. Talk to you guys and gals later. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, a PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.